Yo guys, what's going on? LuckyRave is back again to give you guys another Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest live stream discussion slash review. And first of all, let me just say it's been a while since I've actually had to tackle two chapters for one stream as opposed to just doing one. Because usually if I fall behind, like let's say the chapter comes out the week of, right? I usually have to push it back to Saturday. But if you've been following me on social media, more predominantly like on X, Twitter, I've been gaming for a bit. It's been that, and also considering the fact that, when I go to work, I come back at a relatively, not, I wouldn't even say like a late time. I've just had so much going on at home when I'm off from work. And during that time frame, I'm just like, okay, I need to take care of what I need to at home. And then, by the time I'm done, it's like late at night, right? So, and the next morning, you got to get ready for work. That's just how life goes. And the only other times I have to, really tackle the streams are on Saturday. And since there's only so much that I could tackle, usually if I get lucky, this doesn't always happen, but sometimes you could have a stream end up on, say, a Wednesday, say a Thursday. It really depends on like how things go. But luckily, and this is something I do want to say, is that not this upcoming week, because obviously we're going to be on break for the manga, but the following week after that, which will be Thursday, not Thursday, the week of Thanksgiving, I'm going to be on break from work for like the whole week. So from that Saturday to, I want to say, yeah, from that Saturday to, if I'm looking at my dates correctly, from that Saturday all the way up until, yeah, actually all the way up until December 1st, I'll be on break. I'll be on break that whole week. So there should be like a slew of content coming. Like as far as like video discussions go, obviously I got to do a big catch up on One Piece. Obviously, there's a stream on that coming. There's that. As far as when I should be doing the Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest episode live stream discussions, because I know it's been 2 weeks. I know the last stream I did was in regards to episodes 15 and 16, and right now 18 came out. 19's about to drop tomorrow. So I should be able to tackle that stream later today. Later today. If not today, because I don't want to make this a thing of like, say, episode 19 comes out and I don't tackle, and I have to tackle 3 episodes in one stream. I don't want that to be the case. Because I like keeping it at a minimum of two. 2 episodes for a discussion seems, my opinion, a lot more digestible to tackling like what I used to in the past, which was like 3, 4, 5. Oh my god, trying to cram 5 episodes into one stream discussion, like you would have to blaze through so much. So, worst case scenario, if I don't tackle the stream for episodes 17 and 18 today, then odds are it'll probably be saved for later on in the week. And then episodes 19, I'll save for probably with episode 20. That might be where it goes. Might be. But we'll see on that. That being said, I had to go through like 4 minutes of that, just like explaining what's going on. Let's now just dive into the chapters, okay? So chapter 171, and I won't harp too much on 171, but it does lead us into 172, and it's actually really, really simple. So you have the new Oracion Sechs, like essentially the demons from the Book of Fairies, okay? You see Zero there. And actually, if I remember correctly, let's look back at these numbers just to get an idea. So these guys are here. Yeah, like all the new members are here. And if I look at the manga, because we're gonna be using the I'm actually I said if I look at the manga, and I'm looking at it right now. But you know what I'm talking about. Like, if I remember the names of the new Seis, outside of Zero, because Zero has been an obvious one. Duh. Like, why wouldn't he be? Let's see here real quick. 100 years quest. And this is only just for me to like be in the loop, just keeping it real. Let's see here. Oh, now this thing finally wants to. You know how long? Like I've been on the wiki for a while, and it had been a while since they had updated this. I just find it funny now that they decided to like just show it. It's actually hilarious to say the least. But let's see here real quick. So, okay, Daemon, Gate, Bird, Blade, and Gaia. That's who we have here for the new members of the Oracion Sechs. I think that's how you say it, right? I think the German word for sex. And even Erza points this out too because she notices, because she's like, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see. So this is a new Oracion Seis. And looking at it correctly, the person that's talking about Seis, yeah, right over here. So the person that's talking, not Zero. When is it that we get the whole talking point about the Seis? Let me just do a quick backtrack real quick, and that's not going to take that long either because they were only just introduced to us recently. Like it wasn't that long ago that we got them. I want to say it was like 164, 2, yeah, three-way battle around the world. That's when we got introduced to them. So they were here. We got them. Okay, yeah. So they weren't. The names weren't given to us quite just yet. But if we're to look at it, okay, so Gaia is the big Hulk-looking figure, the guy who I pretty much equated to the Thing. That's who he is. And then there's Daemon, the cutie with the horns. There's her. Then there's Bird, obviously the racer counterpart. Then there's Blade and Gate. Okay, so we have all of them. That's all I wanted to check up on, just to get an easy idea. So, yeah, you have Bird, you have Gate, you have Gaia. I cannot believe I'm playing on this. Daemon's here too. Obviously, we got Gate artists. Okay, Gaia, Daemon, Gate, Bird, Blade, and Zero. You have that. That is the center point here, if I'm being perfectly real. So, I want to keep this chapter, which was 170. I'm sorry, not 170. I want to say 165. Yeah, 165 I'm going to keep over here just to use as a reference point for the names. Because they are new characters. You have Gaia, Daemon, Bird, Blade, and Gate. So they're here. And Erza's like in shock. He's like, wait, Master Zero? Okay, yeah, so I just went over this. And the one that is talking about like the old team name, looking at the name right here, that's Gate talking. So Gate's like, no, that was his old team, right? He's not our leader. And then Bird's like, thrill, thrill, thrill. We're Oracion Sechs. And then Blade's like, Demons. I said Demons. Demons of the Book of Ferris. We were born from Ferris Sama's love. And then now we see Daemon here. She's like, we meld her enemies. Even. Okay, I like her personality. Okay, I know I didn't get a chance to talk about this chapter a couple weeks ago, but our personality really sticks out, and it's funny. She's like, even Zero if need me. And Zero is just like, okay, I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. But Urza says, I thought you were dead. I mean, which is kind of obvious, right? Because Midnight, for those of you that remember in the Tartarus arc, Midnight, like, night, he offed Zero, like, without hesitation's worth. That's what he did. He did that. So, given that, you would think, okay, but here we are. He's here. And even Erza's like, wait, I thought you were dead. And he says, I kind of was. But because I absorbed so, and again, I like how we're using reference points. Okay, we're using exact reference points from the actual original manga, which that's something I love about 100 Years Quest is that some of these characters that were dead that come back, we get like little references and like little callbacks as to like how and why things are the way they are. I mean, we've done that obviously with Igneel, the whole reveal of Black Wizard Zeref. I said Zeref, Ferris, and the whole connection to Acnologia. We get that too. There's so much that gets there, that gets explained there, and this is no different. Okay, like even when even when Igneel like say died, okay, we get a callback to that during the labyrinth arc. So that should be saying a lot. It really should. But because I absorbed so much magic from Nirvana, I couldn't die. Then Gate says his tenacity and destructive instincts caught Ferris's eye apparently. Blade says he discarded his humanity and was reborn as a demon. And Zero just goes on to say, it never mattered whether they were human or not. I just can't let anything with form exist. If I can destroy things, that's enough for me. And then you see Erza just being taken aback as Zero, like, especially you, fairy tale, and dude, within a matter of seconds, like Urza's blade is like shattered into pieces. I was like, ooh. But Erza going into requip, as actually not even going into requip, like her armor's even gone. Oh my god, I'm just not noticing that. Yeah. Like her armor is destroyed. She's like, what is this power? It's different from before. And she asks, like, so what is your group's goal? And in classic Zero fashion, he says, destroy, destroy, to destroy everything. Make things a bird. I mean, a bit less confusing, would you? And Damon says, well, he's half right. That makes me melt. And then, of course, I have Gaia saying, we will destroy humanity for... That's kind of ironic, actually. We will destroy humanity for the sake of love. The irony there in that statement. And then Blade says, we'll kill all humans and cut down every dragon, too. And Erza obviously notices a giant lacrima over there, saying, so you're going after that giant lacrima, too? And Gate says, oh, we already took care of that. And you see what happens. Like, they're there, and the giant lacrima, like, shatters into, like, pieces. Which shocks Erza. She's like, what? That huge bird? That huge dragon? Is already dead. And she's like, impossible. The gigantic one? I melted it. So the one they're referring to, if I'm looking at this correctly, they're referring to Alderaan. So Alderaan's already, according to them, Alderaan is already taken care of, which I find interesting. It's kind of interesting how we don't get to see that. Some people could say that's a missed opportunity, and it could be. It could very well be a missed opportunity. But keeping in mind about this, we're not done with 100 Years Quest, so you never know. I'm going to lean in towards the we'll see category. That's my thing. But Bird's there, Blade's going into, Zero's like laughing maniacally, and Gaia obviously going on, please die for the sake of love, and Damon going like, melt, human. And dude, like I think I mentioned this last week, but I already knew. Like 6-on-1, I'm sorry, 6-on-1, like Erza was gonna have a tough time, and I made that a fact. Erza was gonna have a real tough time when it came to these new members. Okay, like we had just got introduced to them. I kid you not. Okay, we got introduced to them last in 164. It's only been what, like 8 chapters? Yeah, like there's no way. Obviously, there was no way these guys were gonna get one shot like that. We're not. The only people that were probably gonna believe that were people who dropped Fairy Tale back in 2012 because, well, you know, had other expectations. And I mean, too, the final arc of the final arc of the original manga, and I have my gripes of the original final arc too for Fairy Tale. Like the Alvarez arc obviously is not perfect, and if anything, and I've always said this, but a lot of stuff in Honduras Quest is making Alvarez, in my opinion, less problematic. Like there's still things in the arc that aren't obviously perfect, and there are still some heavy flaws there, obviously. But even with that said, like if Alvarez to me went from like a man plus arc, like at the very least now, like it's actually funny when I think about this, but now Alvarez has kind of jumped into a okay plus tier. That's kind of where I'm putting Alvarez. And here's the thing: if if and when we get the reawakening of END, because I do see that still happening, then you could easily say that okay, Alvarez might probably end up becoming like a good arc by the like at least by my standards, it could very well become like a good, not good plus. I don't want to say that, not great, not amazing, but just good. It could very well be like a good final arc to like the and think of it like this. It could very much well be a part one. That's how you could feel Fairy Tale. Now, Fairy Tale from start to finish could be like a part one, even though you have, say, the 7 year time skip and then the 1 year time skip. You have that in the manga, obviously. But given that, given what I'm saying, we're now here with Hunter's Quest. So while Blade's about to do what he's about to set out to Erza, then you see a feather drop in the corner. Multiple feathers. Gate notices this. Gaia notices this. Bird notices this. Same thing with Damon. Like she notices this too. And we see a silhouette of 6 figures. Okay, 6. And as soon as I saw these 6 figures, I knew I was like, oh, these guys are pulling up the OG. Okay, they're not technically the OG Oracion Sechs because, well, Rave Master's a thing, and technically that whole thing originated there. But as far as Fairy Tale goes, this is the OG squad. Looks like things are getting interesting. Just so. And Erza, again, is just like speechless. Same thing with Zero. Zero's like, excuse me? And you see Serrano, Cobra, Midnight, Racer, and Wally. I say that, and then I just like, wait, hold on a second. I forgot about this dude. Richard, right? Yeah, his name has to be Richard. Yeah, it's Richard. I forget what he's actually called. Hot Eye. There we go. I don't know why that name escaped me. Like I knew for a fact his real name was Richard. I just forgot what his actual name was called. But yeah, Richard's there. And then of course you have this cloaked figure that kind of ended off the chapter somewhat. Because Erza goes like Oracion Sechs, and Midnight says, "So you're still alive, father?" And he looks over at Midnight and just like, "Oh, hell to the no," because he remembers what happened last time during Tartarus. He knew. He knew. And that's kind of where we ended up. We ended off chapter 171 there. And I know I spent 14 minutes on that. But given that, okay, given with that whole predicament with the chapter, it did lead to a huge talking point about this cloaked figure as to who they could have possibly been. And as soon as I saw the cloaked figure, I kind of thought it has to be Mary. It just has to. And the funny thing about this is that at the time, like even before this, I really thought about doing a discussion stream. Not even a stream, but just a discussion video on what could have been, or like what kind of role Merity could play in the series. I really didn't really want to actually do a video on that. And in some ways, I'm kind of glad that I didn't because, well, given 172 and given the thumbnail of the stream, we all already know who it is. But let me just say, the 2 weeks of that yeah, at least like the 1 week where we didn't have the chapter, people were speculating who this could possibly be. Some people were thinking Jalal. And I'm like, what does Jalal have to hide? Okay, what exactly does Jalal have to hide? We've seen Jalal play like a pretty big part within Hunter's Quest, okay? Both in terms of, well, a very brief role, I should say, in the Water Dragon God arc, and then, of course, playing a major role in the, Earth Dragon God arc. We obviously had, or not, sorry, not Earth, well, yeah, Earth, Wood, same difference. Wood Dragon God arc, having a pretty big, significant role in the, was he? I don't think he was in the Great Labyrinth. No, 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 no. He wasn't there. He was definitely 100% in the previous arc with Gold Owl. He played a part there, obviously. And I kind of thought if this was going to be Jalal, we would have. Hero would not. Both Hero and Ueda, because no one gives Ueda enough props, okay? Nobody really gives Ueda enough props when it comes to 100 Years Quest. But Ueda and Hero would not keep this figure like cloaked for like a ending point for 171. If it was going to be Jalal, they would have just shown him, Like there's no way it would be him. And I had to really think because, and again, it's not just me, many people within the fandom have been curious where Merity's been. Because since, again, Alvarez, we haven't really seen her. Ultra played a very small role in, what was it? Oh my god, I'm blanking on it right now. She played a very small role in the Wood Dragon God arc. She played a pretty small role there, which I want to say episode 17 covered. I think episode 17, I think, covered that part finally. So that's a thing. And I had to wonder, like, okay, so that means like it has to be Merity. That's the only other person I could think of. And now that leads us into 172, which, if anyone's curious about my rating on 171, I'm gonna just go ahead and say great. It was a great chapter, okay? Great chapter, maybe even amazing, because number one, you get to see Erza struggle. That's one. It would have been a great plus ultimately, just to see the struggles Erza was going through. But the way this chapter ended, and you have the OG squad show up, I think really said so much. And of course, the cliffhanger too, with who this figure was going to be, also set up so much too as to like anticipation for who the reveal was going to be. So for me, that ultimately gets the great plus rating for 171. Now 172, we get to, which is Seis versus Sechs Showdown. And you see, it's funny how Erza like just right in the middle of both these squads, okay? So she's there, she's shocked. Midnight, Cobra, Serrano. I don't even think I mentioned Serrano, but yeah, Serrano. Talking about the previous chapter, Racers are two. Obviously, you got Hot Eye, and then of course you got the cloaked figure. Then you have Zero, Blade, Damon, Bird, Gaia, and Gabe. They're all here. And I like how Erza is just like, so who are you? And as soon as the person started to like giggle and you see just like the small strand of hair, I already knew from the gate. I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely her. So she takes off the cloak And it is none other than the former member of Crime Sorciere, Merity. And Erza's like, what? And Racer said she looked into stuff. So we are here. That's what Eric said. And Hot Eye says, so you're the scoundrels calling themselves the Six Demons. And I love Serrano, okay? Now, of the six, obviously Serrano's playing a little bit more of a part within the manga, okay? I mean, she made a brief appearance in the Water Dragon God arc. And of course, she played somewhat of a part in the Gold Owl arc. She obviously played some kind of role there, obviously. But she's like creepy with the derpy eyes and everything. And I like how Midnight just points this out. It's so how long are you gonna be hung up on the number six, father? And he's just like, Blade says six of them as well, huh? And Gate's like, oh, I see. But this does not affect Zero in the slightest. He's like, you're nothing! I'll wipe you all out! And Hot Eye, the Gate, like using his magic, okay? And Daemon says, this guy, Gaia says he's incredibly powerful. And he's like, I'm Bird. You can't get me with. But then Racer pulls up and says, too slow. And just like, knee kicks him. And, Blade doing what he's about to do. But Cobra says, I can hear you. And Serrano taking on Daemon. Now this, good matchups. Like, I love the matchups that we have here. Racer taking on Birdie. It's a birdie, but Bird. Real easy, real self-explanatory. Blade vice versa. Cobra against Blade. Pretty easy. And actually matches up pretty well too, because like if you notice the Blade, they both have snake-like things involved with them. So that matches up. And of course, Daemon and Serrano. Nothing wrong there. Then you have Merity and Game. Oh my god. That's perfect. And then, of course, Hot Eye and Gaia, which, of course, leads us to the final confrontation. The final member of each of the six, which is Midnight and Zero, father and son. He even points at you. He says, father, why don't you wake up already? That's what he's saying. Like, Zero's just chuckling away. And again, Erza's still just like flabbergasted. She's like, you. And Merity says, you go, Erza. And she's like, but Eric says, go to Eric, Cobra. He says, go to Draymel. And Midnight says, it's in trouble. You're the only one who can save the town, Erza. And as soon as that happens, like, she kind of gets into a realization, and then she starts taking off, saying, understood, stay safe. Who do you think you're talking to? Don't underestimate the Oracion Sechs, would you? And this is Serrano talking. And then, of course, you can see, like, how Daemon says, bet you're worth melting. And if there's any time for Serrano to use this line, it's worth for her to use it now. That's because I'm fired up for the first time in ages. Go ahead and melt me. And she's doing that. And Bird's just like, I won't let you fly the coop, but Razor says, still too slow. Motor. And then Merity says, okay, let's get this started. Then we cut back to the palace of the fire dragon god. In this case, the fire god's palace. Castle. Same difference. Castle, palace. Well, actually, I think palace is a little bit more grander, I want to say. I mean, if you look up the definitions, they're practically similar. But also, we cut back over to there, and you see Misfortune saying, I'm through with you. Like, she's there. She's like all like fussy. And she's just like trying to beg. He's like, I said I was sorry. And Happy says, it's true, Natsu. And again, Natsu trying to make amends, I think is always a good thing. I really do. But he goes on to say, but you were an enemy up until a little while ago. Who cares about a kick or two? And she's still just like, um, I suppose I see your point. And she's like, right? And you see Happy, not exactly pleased. He's like, don't just agree, Natsu. Fortune is a good girl. And she's like, gosh, Happy. And Natsu goes like, Fortune, huh? Great name. Sounds yummy. And Happy's like, you want to eat her? And Natsu just brushes that off to the side and just goes straight to the point and says, so, Fortune, I want to stop Ignia. Tell me where he is, would you? And that kind of gets her thinking. Happy notices the expression that she has, um, almost kind of taken aback in a sense. And she says, he said he was going to find some black wizard named Ferris. Natsu asks where. And she says, I think he's using smell to find her, so I don't know. And Natsu's a smell. Oh, that's an idea. But you're not a dragon. That's what Fortune says. And Happy points out Natsu's nose is amazing. And, while he's smelling, he just says, that way. And that takes Miss Fortune like aback. She's like, oh, huh? And Happy says, like I said, amazing. And Natsu just crossing his hands, singing, but hold on, that's something about it just does not seem right. But that's where Draymel is. And you see the city in smoke, okay? And like burning down and everything. So obviously he's trying to figure out where Ignia is. And the direction where he's noticing is Draymel. That's obviously saying a lot. And well, at least that's what I'm thinking where we're heading to. I mean, if we're looking at the line of dialogue, but that's, and you see dot 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 where Draymel is. And Erza obviously is there, and she's like, well, what's going on? And that's the big cliffhanger for the chapter. So, given all that, this chapter, I will say, easily amazing plus. Not quite pure perfection, because it would have been cool, and I'm going to say the reason why. I would have really liked to see, I mean, yeah, we have a setup here. We do have a very good setup here for Merit. It would have been cool to see just a couple of blows of what Merity could have done. But nonetheless, Merity does have an opponent. Like, if we're looking at her matchup right now, it's Merity versus Skate. So that setup is already there. And what I'm hoping for is that this doesn't get off screen. I'm really hoping we don't get off screen with this battle that we have. And actually, if we look at the manga currently for 100 Years Quest, 170. Yeah, actually, now that I look at it, so volume 18 ends off with 162. Which, if anyone's curious, 172, not 172, 162. That's the cliffhanger for when Black Wizard Ferris shows up. Volume 19, funny enough, actually ends off with the previous chapter, 171. So, if we're looking at it from that perspective, actually, yeah, no, I have to change the I need to change my rating on chapter 171 then because it's a cliffhanger volume, because it's a cliffhanger chapter. For the volume, I will say it goes from a great plus to an amazing. Easily. So, because of the stance of where it is in the volume, 171 easily an amazing chapter. This chapter, is the start of a new volume. Uh, yeah, that's crazy to think about now because 171 is the cliffhanger for volume 19. 172, this chapter right here is the start of volume 20. And I can't believe I'm saying that now. We're like now 20, not even, okay, volume 20 is not done. Obviously, we're just starting it. But to say that we're now at the start of volume 20 is just nuts to even take into account. At least to me, I'm just like, wow, we're here. We're on volume 20. And given that, I have to say, for a starter chapter, easily, my opinion, amazing plus. Maybe even arguably pure perfection. But for the time being, I'm gonna go ahead and say amazing plus. It's an amazing plus chapter to not just the start of volume 20, but just just the chapter in general. It's a really amazing chapter. And like I said, the last chapter does also equate to an amazing plus also because of it standing within the volume. And that's how these two chapters kind of complement one another, because 171, like I said, is the cliffhanger for volume 19. And this chapter, 172, is the start of volume 20. So they both obviously they have their contrasts. One ends a volume, one starts a volume. And for an ending volume and a closing volume, for an ending volume and a opening to a volume speaks so much. It really does speak so much. But with that being said, you guys, my overall rating for both these chapters easily going to be an amazing plus. Easily amazing plus because they're both amazing plus chapters, right? So obviously you're not going to get a difference when it comes to the overall ranking scale, obviously. But I am looking forward to 173. I really am. And I'm going to try to do at least have a discussion video out sometime next week. And if not next week, definitely the following week because I'll be on break. There will be more discussion videos coming then. And actually, it's going to be funny because when 173 comes out, not next week, but the week after, like I said, I'll be on break. So you're going to get that stream from me day of, which I can't wait. I'm going to be so excited for what we're going to get with 100 Years Quest. But let me know what you guys thought about these two chapters. How do you guys feel about Merity coming back? How do you guys think that fight's going to go down between Merity and Gate? And of course, like seeing not just her fight, Serrano versus Daemon, Cobra versus Bird, Racer versus... I said Racer versus Bird. Oh my god. Yeah. No, Cobra versus Blade. I'm sorry, I got that mixed up. Yeah, Cobra versus Blade, Racer versus Bird, Hot Eye versus Gaia, and of course Midnight versus Zero. The rematch there. It's gonna be really interesting to see. And I can't wait. I honestly cannot wait to see with what we're gonna get with the upcoming chapter of 100 Years Quest. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on these two chapters. What was your favorite part about it? Did you guys have any gripes about it? And aside from that, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm LuckyRave. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more fairy tale content, Hero Mashima content, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. Laters.